George Mason University's Student Senate passed a resolution on anti-Semitism after a local Jewish community center got vandalized a second time with nearly 20 swastikas earlier in October. But anti-Jewish, anti-Israel, or plain old left-wing bias on campus doesn't seem just to be taking place in the shadows. Let's check it out. So George Mason's Student Senate said that it would not tolerate hatred and acts of malice, and called its Jewish community a vital part of the Mason community in a resolution last week. But what's really interesting is what the GMU Student Senate Speaker pro tempore, McKenna Bates, said on the subject. Apparently, while she was holding a kiosk on media bias, McKenna was told that Palestinian lives matter more than Jewish lives, and that the murder of Jews is justified because Palestinians are at the bottom of the oppression system, and thus any expressions of resistance are ultimately justified. And see, this is the really dangerous thing about Oppression Olympics. Perceived victimhood becomes a kind of currency that justifies not just bigger platforms for certain people on critical issues, not just affirmative action that could make or break an academic or professional career, but yes, actual violence. Anyways, McKenna was a fan of the Anti-Semitism Resolution, as was George Mason's Hillel group. Now, GMU doesn't often come on my radar for anti-Israel or left-wing bias, but you may remember Professor Noura Erakat over there, who complained about a Washington Post headline reading, "Israel's use of fatal fire in Gaza. Excessive force or justified mob control," with a tweet saying, "Mob? Can we please try to acknowledge Palestinians as human, not bugs to be exterminated? This is a freedom struggle." Well, it might shock you to learn that Noura is a little bit of a hypocrite. Or maybe not, she's a professor after all. The professor has seemed to have no problem using the term mob while referring to groups of Israelis and Jewish people on Twitter. George Mason is also the same school where hundreds of staff and faculty freaked out when the school decided to honor the late conservative Justice Antonin Scalia by naming its law school after him. They didn't stop the renaming with their petition, and that renaming, as well as accepting millions of bucks from Republican donor Charles Koch, does seem to point to GMU's administration being slightly more sane than that of other universities. For Campus Unmasked, I'm Rob Shimshock. If you like this video and support our mission, please make sure to comment and subscribe. If something happens on your campus and you'd like us to investigate, send us details using the form on campusunmasked.com.